kid, you do not know it yet, but all those starships you keep staring at on television are going to stay with you for the rest of your life. Every bridge, every cockpit, every space station, every jump gate, every alien world, every impossible ship crossing the screen. You think you are just watching a show. You are not. You are building a dream. You're sitting there in front of that old TV, watching Star Trek and Babylon 5, and every piece of science fiction you can get your hands on. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a question is forming. What would it feel like to be there? Not just watch it, not just imagine it, but be there. To walk through the corridors of a ship, to stand on the bridge, to look out a window and see a planet below you, to hear the engines come alive, take off from a city, break through the clouds, and leave the world behind. You do not know the words for it yet. You do not know about game engines. You don't know anything about server meshing. You do not know about persistence, physics grids, cargo systems, or seamless planetary tech. You just know that space feels bigger than everything around you, and you want to go. You were born in 81, which means you got to grow up in a strange and beautiful time for science fiction. The future still feels very far away. Computers still feel mysterious. Games still needed your imagination to finish what the graphics could not show. A few pixels could become a starfighter. A blocky cockpit could become a war machine. A text briefing could become a military operation. A loaded screen could become a jump through hyperspace if you believed hard enough. And you did. You believed in all of it. You believed when Star Trek showed you that space could be about exploration, diplomacy, discovery, and people trying to become better than they were. You believed when Babylon 5 showed you that space had politics, war, faith, betrayal, alliances, and consequences that lasted longer than one episode. You believed that when Star Wars showed you that a ship could be more than metal. It could be freedom, it could be home, it could be the thing that saved you at the last second. And then the games came along. That changed everything. Because movies and shows let you watch the future, games made you feel like you could touch it. Wing Commander made you feel like a pilot. Privateer made you feel like a freelancer trying to survive. X-Wing and TIE Fighter made you feel like you were part of a war. Freelancer made space feel open. Mass Effects gave you a crew, story, history, and a galaxy that felt like it had weight. Each one gave you a piece of the dream, but never the whole thing. There was always a wall. You could fly the ship, but you could not walk around inside it. You could visit the station, but it was not really alive. You could land on the planet, but the ship became a menu. You could have a story, but once the credits rolled, the universe stopped. You kept waiting for the game that could put it all together. The one where the ship was real, the one where the planet was real, the one where the station was real, the one where the journey mattered. The one where you could wake up in a city, take the train to a spaceport, hold your ship, walk up the ramp, sit in the pilot seat, lift off, leave the atmosphere, meet your friends in orbit, take a job, get into trouble, and come back with a story that nobody wrote for you. A story that happened because you were there. Kid, we found it. Cold Star Citizen. And I need you to warn you right now, it's not perfect. Not even close. Some days it is broken in ways you will not believe. The elevators are dangerous. The missions do not always work. The inventory can feel like it was designed by an alien intelligence that hates humans. The server sometimes falls apart. The trains break. The cargo breaks. The freight elevators break. Sometimes the game seems personally offended that you try to have fun. There are nights where you will spend 2 hours trying to do one single mission and end the night with nothing but a hospital gown and regret. But then, there are other nights. Nights where you step into a hangar and your ship is waiting for you. Not as a menu, not as a cutscene, not as a background image, It's a physical thing. You walk towards it, the ramp opens, you step inside, you move through the rooms, you sit in the pilot seat, you power it on, the lights come alive, the engines roar. And for a second, every show you watched, every game you played, every sci-fi dream you carried since childhood starts to feel real. That is why this game matters to me. Not because it is finished, not because it is easy to defend, not because the critics are always wrong. Sometimes they're right. But because when Star Citizen works, it feels like the game you were dreaming about before you even knew what games could become. Remember how you looked at Starships and wondered what's behind every door? In Star Citizen, you can walk through those doors. Remember how you imagined cargo holds, crew quarters, medical bays, turrets, engineering rooms, and cockpits? In Star Citizen, those are not just set dressing, they are places. Remember how you wanted the ship to feel like home? It does. Especially when you are far from a city, parked on some frozen moon, standing outside your ship while the wind cuts across the surface, the stars hang over you. That is the part nobody can explain properly from the outside. People can show screenshots. They can show trailers. They can show bugs. They can show crashes. They can show drama. But they cannot fully show the feeling. The feeling of taking off from a planet and actually flying into space. The feeling of watching your friend walk around the ship while you are flying it. The feeling of landing in the middle of nowhere and knowing the ship that brought you there is still behind you. The feeling of seeing another player's headlights coming through the dark. The feeling of a normal cargo run turning into a rescue mission. The feeling of a simple night with friends becoming a story that you will talk about for weeks. That is what you were waiting for. You were never just waiting for better graphics. You were waiting for a universe that felt like it kept existing after you looked away. You're waiting for science fiction you could live inside. And that is why I forgive Star Citizen more than I probably should. Because I know what it's trying to be. I can see the dream under the bugs. I can see the childhood fantasy underneath the broken mission and the mission polish. I can see the bridge between everything we loved growing up and everything games might still become. Star Citizen feels like Star Trek when you are standing on a bridge with a crew. It feels like Babylon 5 when you are moving through the stations full of factions, travelers, soldiers, criminals, traitors, and stories waiting to happen. It feels like Wing Commander when the combat starts and the cockpit shakes. It feels like Privateer when you are broke, flying job to job, trying to make enough money to upgrade your ship. It feels like Mass Effect when the universe starts to feel bigger than your own little corner of it. Sometimes, it just feels like us. That kid who wanted to go to space. That adult who never really stopped wanting the same thing. That is what this game is to me. A bridge between the kid I was and the player I am now. A reminder that some dreams do not go away just because you get older. They just wait for technology to catch up. And maybe that is why Star Citizen hits so hard. Because when you're a kid, you do not care what is practical. You do not ask whether the studio can afford it. You do not ask whether the engine can handle it. You do not ask how many years it will take. You just imagine the perfect game. A game where you can be a pilot, a captain, trader, a miner, a salvager, a soldier, a medic, an explorer, and nobody trying to survive is somebody trying to build a name. A person in a universe that does not revolve around them, but still gives them a place inside of it. That was always a dream. Now somehow, there is a game actually trying to build it. Messy, slow, frustrating, expensive, controversial. Hey, but at least they're trying. And I think that matters. Because so much of modern gaming feels sequels, formulas, battle passes, maps, modes, content drops, products. Star Citizen feels like a dream someone refused to shrink down. And maybe that is why people are still fighting for it. Because if it fails, it becomes a warning. A story about ambition going too far. A story about promises that got too big. A story about why games should stay realistic. But if it works, if it actually works, boy, it becomes something else. Proof that the dream was not impossible, just difficult. And kid, I think that is why I keep coming back. Not because every session is good. They are not. Not because every patch fixes everything. It usually breaks. Not because I think the game is above criticism. Because it's not. I keep coming back because every now and then, Star Citizen gives me a moment that feels like it came straight out of the imagination that we had sitting in front of that old screen. A ship in a hangar, the planet below, station in orbit, a jump into the unknown, a crew laughing over comms, a mission going wrong, a landing you barely survived, sunrise over the moon no one told you to visit. Those moments are why we stayed. Those moments are why this game is different. Those moments are why, after all these years, I can still look at Star Citizen and say, that is the game I was waiting for. It's not perfect. Not yet. Maybe not never. But the closest thing I have ever found to a sci-fi universe I dreamed about as a kid. So this is my letter to you, the kid who watched Starships and wondered what it would feel like to fly one. The kid who thought space was the most beautiful thing imaginable. The kid who played old games and filled in the missing pieces with imagination. The kid who believed that one day, the game will let us go there. I need you to know something. We got closer than you would believe. We found a universe, mostly broken, definitely unfinished, and it tests your patience. It makes you question your sanity. But when the engines come alive, the hangar doors open, when the planet drops away beneath you, when the stars fill the canopy, you're going to feel it. That same feeling. The one you had back then, the one that made you fall in love with science fiction in the first place. And for a little while, you will not just be watching the future, you'll be flying through it. So keep dreaming, kid. We found it. We found the ship, and now we fly.